major, calls Southeast Georgia his home, and spends a good amount of his time traveling the South Atlantic region, as well as frequent trips to Summerlin, Nevada. Consultant to one of the leading and most reputable legal and tax firms in the country called Anderson Business Advisors. He is the managing director of the premier client services group called PCS with Anderson Financial Services LLC. He specializes in family office service and high net worth families throughout the country. I met Mr. Blake at a financial conference where his presentation inspired me to not only learn more, but bring his expertise to the Charleston Real Estate Investors Group. It's my pleasure to introduce Dwayne Blake.
I'll use this reference to the slides occasionally, but it's going to be more for your viewing pleasure than mine tonight. How's everybody doing?
Good.
How's Charleston being treated with the pandemic? Any different anywhere else?
Yeah,
Is it
not
really
too
tough
much.
down here? Is it like bars, the restaurants, all closed? I don't know. We just came in tonight, so we're going to find out. What is
It's
it?
a hot spot, but everything's open.
Everything's open,
Yeah.
but it is a hot spot?
Yeah.
Really?
One of the biggest.
No kid?
It's the best.
You think it's because of the airport and the ports and all this?
I just think it's because it's the south. Yeah.
Just they grow, I guess.
Yeah.
Heat stuff and grow this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we traveled a good bit, obviously.
No, it's fine.
Our travel was suspended for a couple of
Do we
months.
have a mic
but,
for him?
We've been back on the road a little bit in the last 3 months. Been to Cleveland, and we work with a lot of doctors in the Cleveland Clinic and some other groups up there. So we're finally getting back to feeling somewhat normal, if you know what I mean. Restaurants are pretty friendly in Charlotte, and it's just, still some services are slowed down, but I guess God willing, we'll get back to somewhat whatever we call normal. So what do you guys expect tonight? I'm going to be not really long-winded. Oh, that'll be good. There we go. Is that better? All right. Yeah. So I couldn't hear myself probably because of the fan on the HVAC. I'm glad you handed this to me, Aaron. Thanks. What are you guys expecting tonight? Just give me an idea of what, when they set the meeting up, what was your thoughts? What do you think you're going to hear about tonight?
What do you feel that what do you like to do best?
Yeah,
We do a little bit of all of it.
So Donna told me that, she liked the ideas at the other conference about some tax savings on real estate transfers. I'm going to touch on a couple of topics there tonight. Obviously, we're wealth managers. We own a wealth management, it's called a registered investment advisory firm, is what they call them. The name of the firm is Arthur Blake Wealth, my middle name. And it was my two grandmothers' favorite. That's what they always call me. They didn't call me Dwayne. So when Holly and Darla matched up my name a while back, they said, "You need to use Arthur Blake. Sounds like a Wall Street firm." So I was like, "We'll go with it." So, and the blue and gold colors are because I am from West Virginia originally. I'm a Mountaineer.
So go Mountaineers. All right.
Graduate school at West Virginia. So missed Morgantown a lot, but that was in the past. But I still honor the blue and gold. So we thought that looked good with the firm. But what I like to do is I like to talk about things that are unique to other investment advisors. Because we're not a retail shop, we own the firm, we're holistic, we're fiduciary, and you're not going to find very many fiduciary advisors in our marketplaces. Fiduciary meaning that if we do a plan for an advisor or for a client-advisor relationship, you're going to know the fees up front, they're transparent, and we do everything we can do to eliminate all the commissions from all the investments. So it's a fee-only type service. If you go to one of the big wealth shops and talk to, one of the brokers at the desk or a bank, you're going to, sitting down, you're paying 3% for an investment just to get started off the top of your money. So as a fiduciary, we have trimmed those commissions down to zero, and we just charge a flat rate fee annually for investments. I'll show you that much later. So we're going to talk a little bit about investments tonight, a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about a private lending tool, because what we find is that who here has ever had a 30-year loan on a home? An investment property, a personal property, or anything like that. So when you start to pay that back, who gets most of the money for the first 10 years? The good old bank, right?
Bank.
So we're going to show you a concept tonight, which is going to be unique to something you've probably ever seen. And it's going to show you how you can, if you have investment capital put in, you become your own lender back. And when you pay that schedule back, all that amortization is removed, all that interest. So you'll see how that works real briefly. I'm just going to hit a few topics tonight. And if anybody takes interest in any of them, we can have a consult with you some later day. Zoom call, consult, come back and talk to you, whatever it may be. We've also, as was mentioned, we partner with a law firm, tax and law firm in Las Vegas. And I've been partnered with these guys for 3 years. I'm actually the director of the financial group. And we traveled the country with them pre-COVID. Now we're kind of like sitting on the sidelines so we can get going again. But that travels has led us to almost all the states in the country. And we speak about how to save money on taxes, number one, because on a transfer of property, you know, a 1031 exchange is great, but what if you want to get out of the 1031 business? What if you're done with the properties? What if you want the headaches to go away if you're a landlord? What if you're a flipper? What if you're a flipper and you want to get away from short-term capital gains? There's a lot of things we could show you through the tax and law services that's our partners on how to eliminate some or all of your taxation. Especially if you're a rental property holder, there's some really cool things out there now. If you own rental properties, you can donate those to a system and now make most of your income coming from that perpetually tax-free. So a lot of people like to invest in rental real estate so they have retiring income, that's what everybody tells us. Well, the problem is when we all retire, corporate tax rates are 60% again because it's going up. You know, even thinks it's not going up with all these trillions of dollars being dumped into the COVID and the CARES Act. The tax rates you have now will be the last time you see it in your life. They're going to go up unless you're just in poverty. But if you have rental income, producing rental income, you have 401k income, retirement income, pension income, Social Security income, anything you're planning on living on, what if it's reduced by 50% before you get your check? What if you can turn a lot of your investing, a lot of your rental income and things like that into tax-free dollars and avoid any taxation on it? Simple solutions to it. It's just most people don't do it because most people have accountants. I love accountants. I work with them. They refer business to it or refer back and forth. But a lot of accountants don't have that advanced skill or they don't enter that into their practice because they're so busy doing returns. So what if you could work with an advanced tax advisor who can teach you how to donate properties or work your properties around that 1031 and actually get your money freed up and have it come out tax-free as opposed to having to dump it in a property you don't manage anymore. So we'll touch on that on the last slide. So that's kind of a hodgepodge of what we're going to cover tonight. There's going to be about 10 or 12 slides. I'll go through them really quick. It's just highlights. If anybody wants a slideshow, we're welcome to send it to you if you sign up. Not sign up for a consult, just give us your email. Our website, if you want to find us, Holly will have our cards for us. And then you also, you can go to our website and just enter in a questionnaire and request a consult with us. Holly Jennings, please stand up. Holly is my successor. She came aboard with me about 3 years ago and has just been instrumental in building the firm to where it is today. So she came out of the Merrill Lynch system. So the retail brokers that I talk about all the time, I stole her away from them. She was very high up in the ranks as a young lady and very intelligent. She has a great background. Born in Dallas, grew up in Michigan, went back to school in Florida. She's a Knight, is that correct?
Yeah.
UCF Knights?
That's right.
Yeah. So she's well-traveled in family and social arenas and with the business. We travel quite a bit. So just want to say you'll be speaking with her mostly when we're working together. I get in on some of the advanced concepts. We do all our consults together. If you sign up for a consult, we'll have us both on the phone. But she just really just pulls everything through for us. And then Darla, you'll be speaking with Darla. Some of you already have. I think we scheduled this. Darla is actually our associate and sales manager. And Darla is actually, can I tell?
Yeah.
Yes, Holly's mother. So we keep it in the family. Yeah, so Darla's a retired corporate executive from Bank of America, and she was just tired in retirement. She retired very young, which is literally wanted something to do, and she's got the same background we have. So, investments and insurance and things of that nature. So that's who we are. We're advanced wealth planners, advanced fiduciary advisors, Everything we do is a fiduciary mindset, and that means that we're going to put most of the money on your side of the ledger. You won't have that with any retail advisor, insurance agent, or insurance advisor, practitioner you're working with, most likely, because it's just, it's rare to try to put the money in the client's pocket, believe it or not, and eliminate commissions. You just don't hear that. But we have such a tremendous volume of work from our law firm associates. We have you just get inundated with deals every day. So we work for scale and not for commission. Fair? So Arthur Blake Wealth, that's the firm. We're going to talk a little bit about tax-wise investing. So this is, if you want to read this, I'll see you all at the bar if you can find one for a drink later, because this is the new disclosures we had to put in. It just basically says that everything we're saying is true, but it's we're not an affiliate of a government agency, thank God. I used to be. So when I was in the military, I felt like I was owned by the military. So anyway, you can read these if you can request a slideshow from us. That's us, our pretty pictures. All right. We'll put that back up later for the phone numbers if you want. All right, what's the differences between a retirement? There's different types of retirement plans. There's qualified retirement plans and there's non-qualified retirement plans. And this is just a basic slide to kind of get you ready to start thinking about taxation. That's why I put the slide up. Because a lot of people have a 401k or have one. Who's had one, a 401k in the past with any job you've had? Or a 403b, maybe if you're a government worker or a hospital worker, or some sort of TSP if you're a government worker, through a savings plan. So there's a lot of different nomenclatures for it, but it's qualified retirement plans. So qualified plans are discriminatory. So basically that means that, or they're non-discriminatory. These words are backwards, Holly. I think the last time, I think the last week with this. I want to switch these next time. But you cannot discriminate within a qualified retirement plan because there's a body in the government called ERISA, Employment Retirement Income Security Act of 19 whatever. It basically says if you have a group of employees and you set up a retirement plan and you're contributing money for those employees, you have to do it proportional to their income, fairly. You can't discriminate and eliminate people because you don't want them in your plan. So it's just not allowed. So there's ways to work around that, doing non-ERISA-based plans. We'll talk about non-qualified plans in a little while. But a qualified plan is like an IRA, a 401k, et cetera, et cetera. So most of you know what those are, so it's not here to teach you about those tonight, but you know if you take money out prior to typically age 59 and a half or maybe 55 with other reasons, you're going to be taxed and penalized potentially, depending on what type of program you're in, how long you worked in it. If you're 59 and a half or 60 and you want to get out of the plan that you're in, I'm working with a lot of government services workers who have their money in the TSP and they have a lot of money in it, but they said we only have like 7 options. And we don't have enough options. We want to trade stocks, we want to do this, we want to get in with some of the really cool stocks that you have, green energy and oil and gas and whatever, real estate investment. We can't do that in a government pension plan. So at age 60, you can actually take a premature rollover to an IRA at any institution you want to roll that over to. And then you can buy stocks. So you don't have to wait till you retire to remove your 401k, 403b, or TSP from that entity. Anywhere in the country, any 401k, it is against the law for them to stop you from moving your money to 59 and a half or older to a qualified rollover to or transfer to an IRA. So if you're at that age or someone at that age, you're getting that age and they want more independence from the plan they're in, I tell people this: if you have a 401k and they give you free money, 3% match, pick up the 3% and move the rest of the money out. Keep contributing to get the free money. It's free money, you're not going to walk away from it. But if you want independent management of your money to get you closer and better age for retirement, that's what you should do a rollover at age 60 or before, 59 and a half or 60, I believe. So, most qualified plans don't have, I'll just skip to the bottom, they don't have downside protection. What's downside protection? Did anybody here have money in the stock market in March of this year? Probably a couple of you. Guess what happened to it? It took a quick nosedive, quicker than it did in 2009 when the mortgage crisis hit. You guys will remember that, it's been in the mortgage business that long. But this year, the market dropped almost 40% in literally 5 weeks. And a lot of people did what most people do when that happens. They rode it to the bottom, they went to cash, and they're still sitting in cash, and the market's almost fully recovered. So it just took 4 months for it to fully recover. So what people get, they get panicked and they go to cash from the market. They wait till the market gets to the bottom and go to cash. And then they don't buy back. They don't wait till the market gets back to 29,000. They don't buy back in high. And they're like, there goes all your money. You just lost 40%. So there's ways to protect yourself against that. You have the right investment knowledge and some good contributions from an advisory group. So what is a non-qualified plan? Again, this is just a set of words to talk. A non-qualified plan is something that ERISA does not regulate. You don't have to be part of an employer group to have a non-qualified plan. You can set one up on your own by yourself. And your company doesn't have to own it. You can own it personally. And there's different types. Different types, we're going to talk about a few of them just briefly, but the differences is you can discriminate because you can put it on yourself. If you have 3 employees that work for you and you want to say, hey, I like you, and I want to make sure I keep you here, I'm going to put a little extra money in your pocket when it's non-qualified retirement plan. What's your first name? Will. But, tell me your first name? Steve. I don't like you so much. So I don't want to contribute money to Will's plan. I want to do it for Steve and Will. One idea I can discriminate. But that's up to me because it's a non-discrimination break. Non-qualified plan. ERISA is none of my business. So as a business owner, you can bonus people, and it looks like a retirement plan, and you don't have to give it the whole rank and file. You give it to everyone. You can pick up 2 or 5, 4 or 5. Of course, that 5th one might be a little upset if they found out. People do talk, so you can hear why you do these. But it's built so that you can have flexibility as a business owner, or just put it on yourself. And you can eliminate all the employees because you say, hey, I'll have somebody teach you how to do it for yourself, but I'm trying to take care of myself. So it depends on what type of business you're into. So a non-qualified plan basically allows you to take money out prior to 59 and a half without a penalty. So a lot of people, like my son, he's 26. He's a mining engineer, does extremely well, went to Virginia Tech. Took 5 years to get through bad enough to tuition money. And that was a pretty big deal. But he come out of college 3 years ago, landed a great job. He's in Southeast Missouri, working in a lead facility, lead mine, underground, 22 miles of cabin underground. He's down there every day looking around at the lead, whatever. I'm a geologist originally, so I know what he does. But his goal was to save as much money as he could. He's single. He had bought a little ranchette, 5 acres in the middle of nowhere, and he saves literally $40,000 a year on it. And he gets a nice 401k. And I said, how much you put in your 401k? And he says, well, I'm putting in as much as I can, $12,500 a year is what I put. That's the max I can contribute. I said, okay. I said, you're how old? This was last year's 25. I said, you're how old? He said, 25. I said, so you're going to put $12,000 a year. It's going to grow in the marketplace. I said, because they're giving you a $3,000 match, 100% match up to 3%. I said, so that extra $9,500 a year you're putting in it, you're locking up till you're 60. He said, what do you mean? I said, it's a qualified plan. It's locked up. If you stay there forever, it's like you can't touch it. You might want to get a little loan, hardship loan, but you can't take the money out and use it. What if you want to retire when you're 40? Because his goal is to retire when he's 40. I think he'll do it. But he also has a wood practice, so he makes as much on his wood business now as he makes in mining engineering world. So I said, why don't you just take that money and put it in a non-qualified retirement plan? I said, you can take the money out when you're 35 or 40 and there's no penalty. I said, you can take it out tax-free. Actually, you have to take it out tax-free. So all you're doing is you're getting taxed on the seed instead of the harvest. Because you want to get taxed on the seed. Seed's this big. That's your upfront. If you make $100,000 a year and you put a $10,000 a year plan and you only get taxed on 90, people think that's a great deal. You're saving $1,000. What if that money grows to $2 million by the time you're 65 or 70 or 55 or 45 or whatever year you pick, and it gets taxed at 50%? Would you not rather pay $1,000 extra a year in tax on the seed and get the harvest tax-free? That's a non-qualified retirement plan. That's how it works. Average returns 5 to 7% a year, pretty steady eddy. Can be invested in different products, underlying investment methods. I'll show you a couple of those here in a minute. So that's just food for thought. And you can do this as an individual. You don't have to own an LLC. It's basically a play on a tax code is what it is. So we got something called a private vault. This is a book we put together at Anderson Group law firm. distribute this book, so if people have an interest in it. So if anybody has an interest, we can get you a copy of the book out to you. This is a tax code play on a non-qualified retirement plan. There's lots of different types of products we can do, investments, insurance, annuities, and things like that. And those aren't dirty words, they're just dirty words if you're paying high commissions for them. So the way the fiduciary designs products is almost without any commission, very thin commissions. And it's just in the best interest of the client. But the private vault book we put together a few years back, and it basically talks about how to overfund a Section 7702 plan. And again, I'm leading up a couple ideas here to the last couple slides, which will talk about real estate investors, because I think that's kind of a theme here. Yeah. But every real estate investor we have is high net worth, almost without fail. When we go through this presentation for 1 hour, and this is not tonight, this is a snapshot of it, they buy the private home. Here's why. You've eliminated banking from your life forever. Once you start in this plan, you have enough capital to go in for 5 years, cash flowing for 5 years, you will eliminate banking out of your life forever on all the rest of your transactions. You'll never have to go to a lender again. No transaction fees. You're going to see how amazing they are. Holly, you probably do. I look at your calendar. I think I'm busy. I look at her calendar. She probably does 25 consults a week, 30, and probably 15 of them are brand new every week. High net worth real estate investors from all the country, most of the West Coast, Texas a lot, some of the Northeast. But this is the feed that we get from our law firm. They've set up the nonprofits for them, and we'll talk about that last night, which are great. They've set up conservation easements, they've done other types of planning for them. They set up their entities with legal structures, a mothership corporation, C Corp that owns all the LLCs for asset protection, which is something I'll touch on if you have questions about that tonight. I'm not an attorney, but I can talk pretty freely about it. And then they send them to us, and we show them this tool. And we have people like Chad today up in, where's Chad from? Is he up in Connecticut, New Hampshire? Yeah. This guy is a former West Virginian. He grew up in West Virginia, in the northeastern part of the state. I don't want that against him, so I grew up in southern West Virginia. But this guy developed years ago a video game that probably everybody here, if you're young enough, has played it. And if you're old enough to have kids, you're going to catch Dave played it. If I said the name of it, it would give him away, so I'm not. I don't want to talk about it. But he just did a $400,000 a year plan for 5 years. That means he's put $400,000 a year on his pocket in this plan. And he's going on for his spouse also for $400,000 a year. Now this guy's high net worth, and he built a video game and sold it for a lot of money. But his idea is, he says he does a lot of real estate investing. He says, well, I mean, I don't have to break up my private equity I have in my video company. I can leave that there and let that grow. And I don't have to go to my 401k and bust it up and pay tax and penalty. So I'm going to put a bunch of money in these plans for the next 5 years and freely borrow it out within 30 days. So let's just say you put $50,000 a year in a plan for 5 years. Within 30 days, in the first 50 you put in it, you go back and pull $40,000 out as a loan to yourself. And there's some arbitrage that goes on, makes it very favorable. That's what the consult's all about. And you're using your own money now to go do deals instead of somebody else's. And there's no amortization on the loan. It's an annual variable rate loan of 4 or 5% charged to yourself. So many tax advantages here. The money grows tax deferred. The money comes out tax free. Use it freely while you're building it. Use it freely as long as you want. And when you retire, you take it all out tax free income. Non-qualified retirement plan using Section 77, IRC Section 7702. But if you buy it from the wrong person, you're going to pay a lot of commissions to them. So it has to be designed in a fiduciary manner, no other way, or you don't want to buy it. What is it? And don't run. It's life insurance. I'm not trying to sell life insurance, you guys. I'm selling the concept, the idea. It's a teaching tool that high net worth investors use every day, because it's a concept where you get access to your money while you're making 5 or 6 or 7% inside a contract or more on an annual basis, like a dividend or a yield based on the underlying investments of the insurance plan. And you have immediate access to most 90% of your money day one, well, 30 days into the contract to go out, because we know your money's better in your hands than the insurance company's hands, because they're going to pay you 6%. So why not take your money back to the street while you're getting 5, 6, 7, 8% returns on a contract, it costs you 4 to have it out. Now, if you're going in your math here, if you have money in a contract and you can take it out and make 20% on a flip, and you only pay for 6 months 2% of the insurance company to have your money out, and they give you credit of 6, that just means you made a net 4% inside the contract, tax-free growth, while the money's outside doing what you're good with, making 20% on the flip. So you're getting transactional growth on both sides of the contract. You get paid twice at the same time. It's only because it's a tax code loophole, it's still there, it's been there forever. I don't think it's ever going away, because both sides of the aisle in Washington, D.C., people own tons of this stuff, politicians own life insurance. Because they know how the tax codes work, why? Because they wrote the tax codes. Or they're part of the service. They oversee the service. So they're going to write plans and tax codes that benefits them and their families and their pocketbooks. So this is a very overfunded insurance plan that will not fail. Paying them for 5 years, you're done, to a maximum funding level with no emphasis on death benefit, very low death benefits. It's designed so that the cost of the insurance is so minimal, you don't even see it. The cost of life insurance. So if you go to, New York Life, Northwestern, each one of these big insurance companies, and you buy life insurance, you told them you want to put 50 grand a year in it, they're going to say this huge life insurance policy because they make a ton of commission off of that. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make a bunch of commission. And their insurance companies will charge you a lot of fees for the risk on the books. So we minimize the death benefit to the lowest IRS level, and we only take 1/10 of the commission that an insurance agent takes on their sale for the same volume. That's a fiduciary play. Full transactional, full transparency. So what these do is they basically eliminate the ability for you to have to go get private loans. Eliminate you going to a hard money lender, eliminate you going to a shop, a bank, a lender, to online lender, your low favorite. If there's a lender here, I apologize. I'm stepping on your toes already probably. But your lenders, if you're a lender in this room, it's okay, because there's a lot of great plays here for you too with this idea. When you learn this idea, if you're a lender, you can complement a portfolio, you can complement a client's portfolio by having someone working with them to help them get through these different bridges. Because sometimes people can't get a loan. Right? People have cash, but they can't get a loan. They don't want to spend their cash because they're all tied up. So if you run into somebody like that, there's a way for you to actually get paid on these as a referral. So, if you are a lender, I'm not trying to step on your toes, but I'm just saying traditional lending has a lot of amortization of interest up front, and we can help you eliminate that. So a lot of people are attracted to this plan. I step on a lot of toes sometimes in the audience, because everybody in the audience, so we speak with all over the country. I mean, there's attorneys, there's doctors, there's this, there's that, there's any kind of profession, because these are real estate investors we talk to. And so when I'm making jokes or talking about eliminating some segment of that population's ability to by overcoming our products and services, sometimes it seems offensive, but we have a lot of lenders that are now working with us because they see that they have clients that they can offer this to and show them a service that maybe they can't provide because they're in a kind of very captive lending society.
You say that this works well with private lending?
Yeah, what we do, a lot of our clients actually become private lenders by doing this. They dump their money in this over 5 years and then immediately got to lend it to consumers.
How about the one we lend it ourselves?
Yeah, you become the lender. Yeah, you can become the private lender. Most people are charging 10 or 12 points on private loans. Why? Because you get it to your client quicker. Your client may not be able to qualify for a loan for whatever reasons. You want to, if they got a piece of property, they want to put a title down or a truck or whatever, whatever the size of the loan is. Just get that secure contract with an attorney, and you know how that all works. But yeah, you can become a hard money lender immediately by dumping money in a plan like this and turn around within 30 days and have access to 90% of the capital to become a lender. While you're getting credits inside the contract, you're getting credits outside the contract. That's the whole idea.
How does it work with IRAs?
Yeah, non-qualified money only. You can't put qualified money in an insurance contract. It just makes it messy. Some people try to do that. Some agencies will try to say, hey, I'm telling you, there is a section of the code, the service code, that says you can do qualified life insurance. It's for a very specific reason. It's not for this. Yeah, it's for qualified plans for like a small physician's group or something. But it's really tough when you start. Here's the whole idea of life insurance. If you build up a bunch of capital, it's out of the view of the IRS. It's a private transaction. Every loan in and out is your loan to yourself from the insurance company. There's no transaction, there's no trail, there's no paperwork. It's a quick loan, there's no closing cost. It's about 48 hours, you get the money dropped in your checking account, you do what you want. The insurance company doesn't care what you do with it. They don't ask, they don't report you. So when you start putting IRA or qualified money in an insurance contract to do that, now all of a sudden the IRS is in your business. You don't want them in your insurance business. Yeah, it's such a lucrative transaction to do it this way. You don't want Uncle Sam looking at it.
That's one of the reasons I first got started in real estate. You might know it's a big loss.
You talking about one of the guys, the old vendors that sold the real estate programs? So maybe I didn't hear your question.
No, it was, no, I read his book,
Oh, okay.
and the book, the big old thick book, and they got me interested in financial real estate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good teachings out there. Yeah. There's a lot of teachings about this too. I'll just tell you, be careful because there's, you've probably heard of infinite banking. It's a big concept out there. It's a plan that uses whole life insurance. You got to be careful. Whole life's great insurance. I own a bunch of it. I've owned it for 30-some years. Index Universal Life is one of the products we like to use because it's more flexible in premium. If you're talking to anyone else, other than a fiduciary like us, be careful because they're going to push you towards a company that supports them. They'll teach you this concept and they'll say, oh, you have to buy this product from this company. Well, we don't do that. We are licensed, I think, with 50 or 60 carriers. We have 3 or 4 favorite carriers that makes it work in a fiduciary manner. But what you'll find out is you might go someone with infinite banking, they're going to shove you right into one company, that's it. And that's not always the best company to work with. So there's like a bunch of people that have this concept out there, like our books that we write, but they're not independent fiduciaries. So always work with an independent fiduciary if you want to get that right.
The name of the book was Misfortune.
Misfortune, I've heard of that. So some of these plans, just briefly, not to bore you with the riders, we de-emphasize the death benefit, but we do overemphasize something here that's very important. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, my agency, down the line of the agency, for folks that work with me, we've delivered maybe upwards of 30 claims in the last 3 years. Only one of them is a death claim. This is life insurance. It's an insurance contract. It's not the way we bill it. It's like typically goes to the cash power. But a living benefit claim is like a heart attack, a stroke, a cancer occurrence, organ failure, a critical illness, a critical injury, skeletal, cranial, or a chronic issue like a dementia or Alzheimer's onset or mobility issues, things like that. You can actually advance a lot of your death benefit tax-free while you're living. We paid almost, I think it was 27, 28, 29 living benefit claims the last 3 years for our clientele. It's on the books. We want to pay one death benefit. I've been doing this 24 years. I've delivered 6 death benefits. Delivered a $10 million death benefit to Fife, Alabama a few years ago. More than Road 10 years ago. They both passed away a few years ago. But 25 years in the business, I've only delivered 6 death claims. I bet we had these products, I'd have delivered thousands of living kills. Who don't know somebody's just had a heart attack, stroke, cancer, needed a stent put in, this, that, anything else, or has a major critical injury illness. So you don't have to die to get the death benefit out anymore. That's what I'm saying. So we can build a plan that has that on as well if it's important to you and your family. It helps protect your real estate portfolio. Here's why. What if you got all your cash tied up in real estate and you got sick and you didn't really have any cash set on the sidelines? What are you going to do? You're going to blow up a deal, aren't you? You're going to sell a deal that you didn't want to sell because it was an income producing property you want to keep. Or, it's just a deal that you didn't want to get out of, but you had to get your money out of. Or you have to go do a loan against it just to generate capital to pay your living expenses. And your cash flow is real estate. Well, if you had one of these plans with these riders on it, you no longer have to worry about that because it protects your portfolio, but you can go to the insurance carrier, to your 7702 private vault plan, and pull an advance. It's an advance death benefit, no extra cost. So that's your cash flow that can come back in your pocket. On a $1 million policy, you get almost access up to $900,000 for critical illness or critical injury, tax-free. And you don't have to pay it back with your money. You just advance your death benefit. All right, so we're going to create some tax shit in here. Talk about that for a minute. The old, I've had so many clients in the last several years just talk about depreciation, buying vehicles, giving away money, whatever they have to do, whatever their accountants tell them to do to get back to a low tax environment. So what if you put the money in your own pocket and not have to go out and buy stuff to get like a depreciation or get to a lower tax environment? So there's a lot of advanced tax strategies that works in this arena. Too numerous to go over tonight because tonight's just kind of a commercial, not an infomercial, but a commercial. I'd say it that way. So, but what we like to do is create a mindset around, if I touch on one subject you like, that's why you probably want to call with us. So what do we do with fiduciary wealth management? What's that all about? I told you fiduciary is about 1% of the advisor population that's out there. In the insurance world, there's very few, if any. I mean, you'll find them rarely. You find us because our wealth firm is fiduciary. So I said, for our wealth firm to be fiduciary, our insurance firm to be fiduciary, because I don't want anybody saying, well, yeah, you're great at fiduciary on your investments, but then you turn around and calculate for commissions on your insurance. So we just decided every insurance plan we sell is a fiduciary insurance plan. And there's no questions. So that means that we're going to avoid and eliminate commissions. So in life insurance, we have to make a commission. That's how we get paid, but it's going to be a minimized commission based on what you're used to in that industry. In our investments, it's fee only. So there's no trading fees, there's no transactional charges, and there are very low asset charges. So if you go to a retail shop, you might pay 1.5% or 2% to have your money managed. With us, you're always going to be somewhere around 1% or less, which is a very low fee considering you're not paying any commissions either. We don't sell mutual funds. Surprise. I mean, everybody probably in the room has owned or owns a mutual fund. Guess what? It costs you 3.5% just to get in it annually. Just own it. So if the fund makes 10%, you net 6.5%. Well, if you had your money in equities, stocks, or ETFs, and the fund made 10%, you made 9% because you paid in one manually. So you're already at 2.5% by being with fiduciary. So COVID-19, can't wait till I can take that off the slide. It's like I feel like I'm getting sick looking at it. We had a couple months off. Our last show was in Charleston here. Last time we did the stage show prior, maybe a month or two when we started back up. We were in Charleston at convention center, one hotel outside, I believe, with our law firm. And then we went home to Charlotte, and everybody started getting sick. Not us, thank God, but then everything started shutting down, so we rolled the streets up on the seminars. So I had a couple months to kind of like, okay, this is a great time. I owned a couple of investment firms. I had one out on the West Coast, and basically, I dismembered that one. I just basically said, I'm done with that group. It's an expensive group. And I wasn't traveling out west as much, and I didn't know what COVID was going to do, so I just walked away from that investment firm where I was a half owner, and settled up there with that partner, and wanted to focus more on Arthur Blake Wealth, which is really my baby. I wanted to really just start building portfolios. Because I have an engineering background, I've got an engineering master's work, and I've got a scientific background in geology as a master's degree. And I've always been around investments since I sold an engineering firm when I was 33. And been around investments, and I've always used package investments. Now personally, I've always bought stocks because I like stocks and understand them. So I just decided to build a firm. The Arthur Blake Wealth Investment Firm is built around my portfolios. And I have looked at COVID as an opportunity for two things. For me to have more time to focus on the construction of those funds. And the second thing is just, more time just to focus on the firm in general. And have an opportunity to look at some very good stocks that have some great recovery potential still. Even though the market's way back up, there's several stocks that are lagging the marketplace growth, the recovery, so to speak, so there's still some really good buying opportunities. If you're going to invest in stocks in the marketplace, and you want to invest, IRA or qualified or 401k funds that you move from another location. That's really cool and easy. I mean, I love those because I can trade the heck out of those things. Never charge me a trading fee. I can do real well with portfolios. I can move equities in and out of a lot. No charge, it's a flat fee. At the end of the day is because we don't have to pay capital gains tax. Because capital gains tax applies to the equities as well as real estate, we're going to talk about in a second. So we want to trade money in qualified accounts. If you have a Roth account or you move money in a Roth account, it's really cool because we never pay income tax or capital gains tax on the growth of the stocks. So there's one little loophole out there in investing where you can avoid all taxes forever on your market investments. That's a Roth IRA. Because a Roth IRA is never going to be income taxed and it's never going to be capital gains taxed. If they ever come back with that, which I don't think they will, challenge it. They've tried. You know, obviously there's some escape hatches. So if you're looking at after-tax deposits, profits, you want to invest those, we got to look at other strategies. We got to look at some strategies you hold longer with some dividends that have potentially some tax-free nature inside of ETF, exchange traded funds. So we use funds typically. Sometimes equities, but you know, the problem is with equities, if you use them 100% of the time, if you're just using stocks and you're using it with after-tax money and investing, we have to trade it to get the returns you want. That creates capital gains tax. So we want to do other strategies with that type of money. So I've built some portfolios, about 9, I'm up to date, 9 new portfolios since the spring, and we'll show you what one of them looks like. Our whole goal was to reduce capital gains tax or eliminate it, and minimize tax-free distributions, or maximize tax-free distributions. So we want to get you in a plan that eliminates the zero tax environments where everybody'd like to be, especially in retirement. If you can be in a zero tax environment while you're growing your portfolios, even better. What's this one? This is the Energy Crude portfolio. That was just one day snapshot. Don't worry about the numbers or the stock symbols. I'll just tell you about it's one of the portfolios that I built. I'm an oil petroleum geologist, so I love the oil industry. So one of my passions is studying oil. My son's a mining engineer, so you know we kind of geek out and talk about stocks now. So we're always picking and choosing stocks and looking at them, studying and researching. Problem is, to my detriment, I research too much. I mean, I'll get bogged down. Holly will be like, you need to on this call with me. I'm going to get a consult with the doctor. She's not that. Okay. So, but I love research. It's the engineer in me, and I like to spreadsheet stuff, and I like to evaluate things. So my stocks are packaged in 9 portfolios, and you're a seasoned investor with gray hair like me, and you're closer to retirement, you might have a little more emphasis on your utilities and dividend producing portfolios or equities. But if you're a young, aggressive investor, then you might want to be dabbling in green energy, solar, some really good plays on the energy and crude that I have put together. I mean, as you may see MGM, you ever been to an MGM casino before? I mean, it went from up here all the way down to here. In March, it was like a few bucks a share, down from $60 a share. Guess what? It's up like 30% this week, and each week it's getting, so it's coming back to its highs. So we put people in MGM in April, and we made 500% of their money. Melco, MGM, Boyd Gaming, Triple R. Because the resorts, casinos, their stocks went to the, done almost. But they're going to come back. Why? Because everybody's human. Everybody wants to go to Vegas. Everybody wants to travel. Everybody wants to, these are worldwide casinos too. I mean, all continents have MGM influence, Melco influence. So we know they're coming back. And I'm not recommending going out and buying them before researching, but the research we put in, we rotate them. So when they get back to the height where they need to be, where they're out of favor, we'll get them out of the portfolio for you. That's what I do. So this is an energy crude portfolio. Some of these stocks are up 200 to 300 to 400% since April 1st. Why? Because they were here. They went to here because the world crude index went to almost negative, actually went negative for the first time in history. And all the oil companies went in the ditch with them. So now they've all recovered. So it's just research and portfolios. I'm not going to bore you to death. Portfolio mechanics, I have an 8-point inspection. Sounds like you're going to minus now. Okay? Going to get your muffler fixed. So we have an 8-point inspection. I have 5 independent rating reviews that I use. Morningstar, Credit Suisse, Reuters. There's several other ones, but I use the top 5. And I rate them monthly if they're in a portfolio. I understand equity fundamentals because of my 25 years almost in the business and being a registered principal in securities. One of the little designations I held with some studies. Holding periods are real important to avoid capital gains like we talked about, and or to capitalize on a dividend disbursement. Don't ever sell before a dividend disbursement. Pick up the dividend and then we'll sell. No commissions or sales loads. Mutual funds, 3.5% to get in, loads to get in, annual fees, 12B1 expense fees. So I've seen mutual fund portfolios and variable annuity portfolios that people sell you. You're paying 4 or 5% before you make $1. You're making everybody else money but yourself. These have no commissions or loads. Depending on what amount of money is brought over to us, we'll assign a fee to that, an annual fee that we bill quarterly based on portfolio size. Somewhere around 1% plus or minus, depending on the size and type of portfolio you need to be in. I do monthly testing. The phone number you get from me is my cell phone. It's the same cell phone number my kids have. It's my business line. So if you're my client, you're calling the same number my kids are calling. So I don't have a separate line. Guess what? Because I don't have that many clients. Because I limit my clientele to a certain number, a certain size portfolio. If you're a comprehensive client, you do a lot of different things with us. That portfolio cliff number is lower, the size that you have to bring in. But at the end of the day, you get direct contact with me, and I'm the guy building them and managing them for you. So you would expect that. Quarterly rebalancing, well, this is all industry stuff, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Obviously, tax advantaged wherever we can and get a tax advantage on the growth, tax advantage dividends, and then obviously we offer a portfolio global view. So if you have a portfolio with me, our firm, and you have a portfolio somewhere else, you have 4 or 5 insurance contracts, you have an annuity somewhere that you bought maybe by mistake if it's the wrong kind. You can tie those together and have a global view. And this global view is something software I buy that is non-invasive. Nobody can invade that, move your money. It's just a viewing tool for you that you have to pull all your accounts into using your own passwords you set up each individual company. So it's just a tool we added on as a incentive. It's something our clients really enjoy it. So it's one of those really neat little software things. So I think this might be the last slide, other than summary, probably the last one. Who here invests in real estate? Anybody? Okay, keep your hands up. Who sells real estate? Look very much. All right, so you guys are real estate folks, I know that. So I want to wow you with for just a couple minutes. Literally, I'll be done in 5 minutes probably. Most, a couple questions. Does anybody here have a nonprofit? Why do you get it?
I'd save money, taxes.
Yeah, poor guy. So almost every real estate investor we work with, when we show them the nonprofit, our law and tax firm shows the nonprofit. We'll show you that. Oh, yeah, that's perspective. But once you see it, you're like, well, why didn't I do it before? I mean, it's, I wish I'd done it earlier. It's just getting started. It's military basement, veterans basement. You donate money to a nonprofit, cleanse the taxes. You can own real estate in your nonprofit, get out tax-free rentals. You can get 100% travel rebates. You can get, this year, I don't know if it'll extend on next year, if you have an IRA, like, I have a 401k with a couple corporate jobs and old IRAs, if those grow to be $1 million when I retire, and I'm taxed at 50%, and it's worth $500,000, right? But what if you could donate them to your nonprofit? And then they come out tax-free on the distributions. Let's say tax money. Doesn't have to be $1 million, it doesn't need to be 20 years. You can donate IRAs and old 401ks and nonprofits this year. That's the CARES Act for this year. I don't know if it's going to extend to next year. That's the reason I hurried up, started working on mine expeditiously after I heard that a few months ago. So if you can donate monies to nonprofits, donate qualified funds, get travel rebates, meal rebates, use your own home. A lot of people say use your home for, whatever, when your tax is enhanced for a nonprofit, use your own properties for business meetings of 14 days a year, I think, for your nonprofit, and your executive board of directors, which might just be you. And you can charge, or you can write off, find basically the most expensive convention hall in town in that zip code, and you get the same write-off, daily write-off rate. So you find a place that's $700 a day for rent, you can show that, and you can charge $700 a day right off your home on the top, which is a tax write-off, for 14 days a year, I believe. But I'm not the tax advisor, don't claim to be, don't want to be. But the money you save in the nonprofits, the clients come back to us to invest more. And we invest inside and outside the nonprofits. We use nonprofit rebates and tax credits to put in the private lump sum so they do it. Why? If you're going to save money on taxes, cleansing it to a nonprofit, why put it back in society? Why put it back in the system to be taxed again? Put it in a tax-free private lump, never be taxed again. You can lend from it immediately and use that for the next nonprofit initiative or initiative outside the nonprofit, for-profit. So a nonprofit is basically a 501(c)(3). There's different types